It is always an interesting question period when Senator Plett gets up to talk. Let's see what he has to say today.
Yesterday, Canadians unable to find a home that they can afford got more bad news from this NDP Trudeau government. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation Spring Outlet says housing starts will decline this year, even though we're in the midst of a housing crisis. Next year, new housing starts will not reach 2021 levels, and we are not building enough homes. We were not building enough homes then either. Leader, having the Prime Minister fly all over the place for photo ops isn't a plan to fix the crisis that he himself has created. Isn't this report from its very own housing authority more proof that Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh are not worth the cost? Thank you. You know the line.
Senator Gold.
Yes, the answer is no. The challenge to build more housing in Canada, as we all know, and I'll simply make the point, is a function of a partnership between the federal government, which has the power of the purse, provinces that have jurisdiction, municipalities that are responsible for zoning.
Too bad Trudeau doesn't understand that jurisdiction part with the provinces. He keeps trying to step over that part.
And, of course, the private sector. And it is a challenge, and Canadians are facing the challenge, and the government is very aware of, sensitive to, and responsive to it. It is regrettable, however, that the projects that have already been put in place, or at least the federal part, are not progressing as they could. Let me just cite one example. In the province of Ontario, in order to receive up to $357 million in funding to reimburse investments in affordable housing, the government of Ontario committed that they would have a plan to build tens of thousands of homes. They have announced that they are only going to be able to build 23%. That's one example of failure, not the federal government's failure.
Doug Ford is basically a liberal, so no wonder he's not accountable to any of the money they sent him.
Well, Leader, an Ipsos poll last week showed that 80% of Canadians, 80%, believe owning a home is only for the rich. And among our youth, that figure rises to 90%. This is dreadful. Senator Gold, you've often claimed that the NDP Trudeau government has done more than any other on housing. Don't blame the Ontario government. In my view, spending more money and getting the absolute worst results is pure incompetence, Leader. What do you call it?
Senator Gold.
I'm pointing out facts to this honourable chamber. The government of Ontario promised that they'd have a plan to show how they would create 19,660 new affordable homes by 2028 and repair over 25,000 homes. Their plan now only reaches 28% of that target. They refused to show how they would ultimately meet it. They avoided that agreement with the federal government, and the residents of Ontario are the ones that are the losers.
Senator Whacko.
Senator Gold, Fidelity Investments Canada just released a report that shows that majority of Canadian retirees, 60%, are financially supporting their adult children. The same report shows a whopping 82% of Canadian retirees indicate that inflation is negatively impacting their retirement. And almost half of pre-retirees say that the cost of living crisis created by this incompetent Trudeau government is delaying their scheduled retirement. So more and more Canadians are having to work longer to pay for your Whacko policies and mismanagement. Senator Gold, are you going to tell Canadians and this chamber that it's just a coincidence that bad fiscal decisions by this government over the last 8.5 years have nothing to do with retirees struggling and being pummeled by the policies of this government?
Senator Gold.
We are all concerned about the difficulties that Canadians are facing during these difficult times.
But you guys are literally not doing anything about it. Nice. Thank you.
What I am going to tell this chamber, however, and my answer to you, you will understand it does not agree with any of your allegations, is that this government's management of this economy during these difficult times has provided the following results. net debt to GDP ratio well below that of the G7 peers. Deficits are declining. Canada is only one of 2 G7 countries rated AAA by at least 2 of the 3 independent credit experts. With regard to inflation, notwithstanding the talking.
Having less debt than other people sounds like a good thing, but having debt at all as a country is the worst thing.
Points and this. Let us be clear. Independent analysts have shown that neither the price on pollution has an impact on inflation, and most recently, the Bank of Canada governor said that the federal budget will not have much of an effect on inflation. This is responsible management.
Senator Whacko.
They don't know what responsible management of anything is.
Senator Gold, your government must have some special kind of blinders on. And the only people in this country with blinders on is this Trudeau government. Everyone else knows the level of incompetence that we're dealing with here. We have chaos in our university campuses. Crime and chaos is growing in our streets. More and more Canadians having to work longer. More and more young people turning to their parents for support. But no, the Trudeau government has nothing to do with any of this. It's all a myth, according to what your answers are. The question is simple. Today's generation of Canadians have no hope.
Senator Gold.
You are very correct to point out the challenges, although the way in which you lump them all together as the fault of this government is both misleading, incorrect, and frankly irresponsible. I have confidence in Canadians, and I have confidence in Canadians to understand the difference between the federal government's responsibilities, for example, and those of university presidents on campuses within the jurisdiction of the provinces.
Comment, like, and subscribe, and join if you can. You've been served.